Welcome to the show. Today is jam-packed with gems. I'm going to be explaining just why right now, today, November 1st, is the best day to start buying Bitcoin if you haven't already. 6 months before halving, and then the best time to sell is typically historically 18 months after halving or around that mark. And I'm also going to be going over other charts that show that this could be one of the most epic bull runs of all time. However, I do want you to be prepared because at the same time in the coming months, I believe we could have up to a 20 to 50% crash, and I want you to be ready. So I'll be going over some charts today and also some indicators of just why the Fed might turn on the money printer very, very soon, which is typically very good for Bitcoin. And if you stay tuned to the end, I'm going to show you some altcoin charts and when would be the best time to start buying altcoins. So without further ado, I'm your host for today, Megan Nilsson, aka Crypto Megan, and let's jump right into it. So today, November 1st, is a very important day, and I'm about to explain why. It is approximately 6 months to the halving today. Of course, I'm doing my initiative and 200 videos, daily videos up until the halving to get you prepared. So like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell because I will be uploading videos every single day until the halving. That is my dedication to you to get you prepared for one of the most epic bull runs of all time. So we're going to be examining just why today is the start of historically the best 6 months to be buying Bitcoin. If you haven't already, of course. Obviously, in all of the down, dirty months of the bear market where Bitcoin was in the red for many, many months would have been the best time. But, you know, there are many positives to getting into the market right now. Number one, if you're new, you don't have the PTSD of having gone through a long and drawn out bear market. A lot of people are in disbelief now. They don't believe that this rally is something different. And let me tell you, it most definitely is. Second, your capital isn't tied up throughout an entire bear market, either going down or not doing anything. So there's some advantages to getting in now, apart from if you just want more exposure. So typically, let's read this. Reminder, October closing price tomorrow is the start of the halving minus 6 months. So 6 months up to the halving. Halving plus 18 months, meaning the best time to sell would be 18 months after the halving. That historically outperforms buy and hold. So, if you're playing the cycles, based on the 4-year cycle of Bitcoin and the halving that comes every 4 years, my God, we are right on time. If you're getting started now, this only happens every 4 years. And it's a really amazing time in the market for many reasons, which I'll go over now. And that is the essence of the stock to flow model, that scarcity and thus having drive price. And hey, it has proven historically that this is a fact. It's a fact that there will be a supply shock. So whether you believe we're going into a massive bull run or not, this is designed to drive the price higher if there is a demand for the asset, which increasingly more and more there is, especially now that BlackRock has stepped into the game. And this is the chart here showing just where we are in this cycle and why it's the best time to start accumulating. Also, I wanted you to have a look at this. Bitcoin is getting stronger. So this is the RSI. So the RSI is a momentum indicator. So it indicates the momentum of Bitcoin. And we've been dabbling around in here in the light green, which is 20. And now we're going into the dark blue, and pretty soon we'll be going up into the red and the yellow, and we'll just keep growing stronger and stronger. What we need to break into the bull market is momentum. Why I believe we're going to have a crash within the next three months or handful of months, 3 to 5 months, 3 to 6 months, is because of several reasons, which I'll get into at the end of this clip. So stay tuned at the end of the show. But we did get the pandemic crash before the last halving in March. And I shouldn't say crash, correction. Corrections happen all the time in bull markets. And if you can't stomach a 30 to 50% drop, then you can't reap the benefits of 5 to 6 to 10x gains. So we need to be ready. That's it. It's not to scare you. It's just to keep you on your guard and to keep some of that dry powder, meaning cash on the side, ready to buy those dips. So, and at the end of the stream, we'll have a look at what that looks like percentage-wise if we were to go down from where we are now versus a little bit lower or a little bit higher. So here's the chart for Bitcoin, and this is where it gets much more visual. I'm going to bring this up here. All right. So Here's the Bitcoin halving, just to show you what happened in previous cycles. Here's the Bitcoin halving in May, this blue vertical line here. And this square represents the 6 months leading up to the Bitcoin halving. And according to the stock to flow model, those are the best times to buy Bitcoin before it starts rising in price. And evidently, you could have bought for much lower prices earlier than that. But the one thing that holds true is that from the halving on out, it didn't go below those prices in this accumulation box of 6 months. It went on to rise and into its parabolic bull run. And I have a note here that the parabolic bull run started in October, so much later that month. And that is the period that you still had time to accumulate, yet this was the absolute best time. And then if you look at this, at his assumption that 18 months after is the best time to sell, I did a mark here, would have been around November 2021. And what do you know? Right at the second double top that we had, the top here is right around his time frame, stock to flow, Plan B's model for selling. So of course, this isn't financial advice, and this is not something you should bet all your eggs on the farm on. This is just one indicator in a slew of many, because what you need to have is confluence as a trader, as an investor. When you're looking to support your thesis as a writer, even, you need confluence. You need many points of reference to say, hey, this seems like it's generally a good time to buy or sell. That's it. You don't need to time the market. You don't need to wait. You could have bought Bitcoin for a lot cheaper if you would have foreseen the pandemic crash. But of course, nobody has a crystal ball. And to be honest, you shouldn't care. If you want a stress-free, set it and forget it approach, this is it. This is your blueprint to success. So then let's map it out now for this cycle. So I marked out this cycle with a vertical bar here for the Bitcoin halving in April 2024. We are now right here. And today marks the 6 month before halving point. So anywhere from this point up until the halving is typically a very good time to accumulate before the price has historically gone on to rise into the bull run. And then I've marked out here the 18 months after halving point, which according to the stock to flow model, if it stays true throughout the cycles, that would be the best time to sell, which is in Q4 of 2025. So that would put us in a full-blown bull run by the end of 2024 and into 2025. More or less coincides with what I believe could happen in this upcoming cycle, and for multiple reasons that I'll go over right now. We are setting up on a macroeconomic scale to actually have this bull run. There are many factors that the charts show, but also in the political landscape and what's happening, and the election year. The election year has played a very significant role in the markets historically. So here it says, let's talk about debt first, okay? Justin, US debt rose by 1.2 billion per hour for the past 19 days. This was at the beginning of October or mid-October, just a couple weeks ago. Per hour. It's crazy. It's crazy. There is no ceiling anymore. They just keep raising it. There is no top. And that's why the dollar is getting debased more and more and faster. Then we have news in, this is actually from yesterday, the U.S. Treasury Department set to borrow $776 billion in the final 3 months of 2023. So that is actually a record in the last 3 months of the year. And there are lots of records being broken by the US government and debt, unfortunately, not good ones, right? And here we have the US now has record 17.1 trillion in household debt, 12 trillion in mortgages, 1.6 trillion in auto loans, 1.6 trillion student loans, 1 trillion in credit card debt, and the total mortgage debt is now more than double the 2006 peak. Scary. Meanwhile, 36% of Americans have more credit card debt than savings, while student loan payments are set to resume for the first time since 2020. This is all while mortgage rates just hit 7.1% and credit card debt rates hit a record 25%. We are fighting inflation with debt. I'm going to repeat that. We are fighting inflation with debt. This can't end well, and this is not sustainable. It's not sustainable. So here's what's going to happen. Historically, in election years, the money printer, the Fed money printer, starts to turn on again because they want to stimulate the economy, make everybody really happy about the way things are going, and essentially get reelected or elected. And that's the path forward. Let's hear a little clip from Raoul Pal, who's expert at macroeconomic factors, also an investor himself and a very notable figure in the space. Let's see what he says about turning the money printer on.
Markets almost always go up in the presidential cycle last year. Very simply, more cowbell.
Yeah.
Is they want to give out money to everybody who can vote. So they, have you noticed how many of these coincide with recessions? Almost all of these people come in, the 4-year cycle is all the kind of same bloody thing. And the stimulus always comes at this point. So 2024 should be a lot of stimulus. Then the new government comes in, they produce stimulus. And those seem to be the two big stimulus years.
Real Vision founder.
So the two big stimulus years, we're coming up into one. We're coming into historically a massive stimulus year. And what happens when we get stimulus, the money printer turns on, people have extra money to spend, they start investing in risk on assets, Bitcoin go up, to put it simply. And it all coincides with the 4-year theory. Coincidence? Probably not. Bitcoin was born on the back of a recession, and all of these things factor in. So now I'm going to go back to the charts. So with that hypothesis and lots of data to support it in the charts, let's go back to Bitcoin, because I did reference the fact that we possibly could have a 30 to 50% correction, maybe a 20% if it's a little bit on the lower side, which has happened historically in the bull market running up to the halving or slightly thereafter the halving. And so we shouldn't be surprised when this does happen. We should just simply understand that there are certain factors that need to be put in place for us to get into phase 2 of the bull run. I believe we're in phase 1. I believe we're in the bull run at the very beginning of January. And the first part of the bull run is a slow, steady grind. It doesn't feel like a bull run, but it is. It's the start of one. And now we're trying to punch our way into phase 2, but there are certain things that need to happen before then. So with my hypothesis that we are going to experience that correction, if it were to happen from where we are at right now at around $34,365, if we went all the way down from here, 50%, talk about maximum pain of what we've seen in previous cycles, that would put us at around $17,000. A lot of confluence there because that is our cycle base. That's our base. And as I've said in previous videos, we could go down to test our base based on the pi cycle indicator bottom, because in previous cycles, we've gone down to test that base before then going on full-fledged into the bull run. And that base sits right now between 17 to 20,000. So that's the maximum correction from here that I believe we would have. Let's see where 30% would put us. 30% would put us at around 23,800, and 20% would put us at around 27,500. So that's if we were to have this correction right now where we're at now. Now, if Bitcoin continues to rise, and let's say we get to, let's take it from here, 43,000, the higher it goes, obviously the less number we'll see to the downside. So 50% from here would put us right around $21,000. And 30% would put us at, that's 34%. Sorry. 30% from this area would put us at around $30,000. And then 20% from there would put us at around $35,000. So, it's just a range at this point. If it were to drop from right now, that would be the best absolute entry for a lot of people, but, doesn't point to that that's going to happen right at this moment. I'm looking at much longer term charts, at monthly charts, at bi-weekly charts. And so these things can play out within the next handful of months, not days and not even weeks per se. So that's just something to keep in mind. And that, so you don't get shaken out when that happens. And then you'll start to see the news say, all these negative things. Maybe there's some flack about BlackRock or the ETF gets pushed back. Whatever it may be, the chart said it first. Just know that. So tune out the noise and just be prepared. Just be prepared. And that way you will succeed no matter what. You're going to expect it and you're going to be able to plan and act accordingly. So that's that. And moving right along to the last part of this stream, I want to go over a few altcoins. My mid to high cap gems that are usually the ones that are contrarian to the market or take a little bit longer to run than others. I'm going to start with Solana because a lot of people have their eyes on Solana now. I've never been a huge fan of Solana, and don't get triggered by this. I don't, you don't date them. You don't marry them. You just date them, or you, I don't remember how the phrase is, but anyway, don't get all your eggs tied up in one basket or tied to a coin because of a narrative. Let's try to be smart about this, and let's try to invest in things. Of course, there are projects that I've been in for a long time, like THETA and Cardano, that I believe in as a foundational part of my portfolio. But there are other coins like Solana that I see the value in, and I see why people like it, and I see that there's VC money in it. I see that it's pretty manipulated and really centralized. However, it is getting a lot of attention. So Solana is one of those coins that has woken up from the dead recently. But as you can see, it's been since December 2020 in this range, in this box, within this box for long time. It started out here and now it's been back here. And so it's in the same range now as it was back here before we went on the parabolic bull run. So it's still, even though it did this massive pump forward, it's still at a really good point. And this looks like nothing on this chart, but this is actually almost a 100% increase. So you almost could have doubled your money if you would have invested, just a few weeks ago even. So, but you didn't miss the boat yet. And I want to show you just exactly how long you have to accumulate altcoins. And maybe then you can add that to your plan and your strategy. I know I'm doing that. I've been allocating to altcoins all throughout the bear market, and I'm continuing to do it until I no longer believe that it's a good point to continue investing. And I will keep you updated on all of that as well, in my own opinion, not financial advice. So Solana's all-time high was at $260. And it's currently a 6.6 times down from its all-time high. So just to reach its all-time high, I believe most of these altcoins, the mid to large caps, have a 20x in them this bull run, a 20x minimum. And some will have more depending on how beaten down they are and if they survive and thrive, which I'm only looking at those ones, right? Like I'm not trying to speculate on ones that could pop. I have a very small moonbag basket for those, but for my foundational portfolio, I'm looking to ones that I believe will stand the test of time. So Solana, a 20x would put it at 780, and that would put it at, just under the market cap of Ethereum. Now, it's possible. And Ethereum, where it got to last bull run was, it'll well far surpass that this bull run. And so these numbers are possible. Just know that. And Solana, it's been one of the first movers, one of the first to wake up alongside Chainlink, was another favorite of mine. And now I'm going to get into Cardano to stress again where I got in and how I'm playing this market. So Cardano is one of my favorites, and I always say it was one of my heaviest investments last bear market, at the end of last bear market. Right now in this point in time where we're at right now is when I made that move, pretty much. So pay attention to this. Here's the Bitcoin halving, right here, sorry, Bitcoin halving. Here's the 6 months running up until the Bitcoin halving. So these are altcoins now. This is not Bitcoin. So the stock to flow model doesn't pertain to this, but I just want to show you. So anywhere from this period of February 2020 all the way up to December 2020 would have been a really great time to buy. Even after 7 months after the halving. I mean, Cardano was just in this really tight range before then starting to go on its parabolic run. And actually, the point at which it reached its blow off top was 20 months after the Bitcoin halving. So it tends to lag Bitcoin a little bit because the flow of money is into Bitcoin, then Ethereum, and then the large caps. And that's typically how this is played out. So, but my point is you had a lot more time to accumulate back then for altcoins. Will we have that same opportunity this time? I don't know. But at the current rate, at the current price where Cardano is now, anywhere from here to, 24 cents, I'm buying. I'm buying in this range, and I'm looking to long-term. So just from its all-time high, it's an 11x. And you believe Cardano can hit its all-time high after all of the updates it's gone through and all the progress it's had? I do. So, I'm playing my cards like that. I invested in Cardano back here, right around February, back here at just under 5 cents. And I sold a lot of it at around $3, which was very close to the top, but I like to go for those round psychological numbers because a lot of times, or even just below those. So maybe it was somewhere right below, because a lot of times those psychological numbers act as big roadblocks. So just to reach the all-time high is an 11x. Like I said, I believe a lot of altcoins have a 20x in them and beyond for this coming cycle. So that would put Cardano, between $6 to $8 and possibly $10 for a blow off top. So how long do you have to accumulate Cardano? According to this, 7 months after halving, you would have until November 2024. Will we have that same opportunity this time? We don't know. So now is the time to set a plan, set your goals. And as a bonus, I just want to show THETA. THETA, it's a slow mover, but it's also contrarian. It'll pump hard when nothing else is moving. THETA is one of my favorites, and I'll get into reasons why. If you guys want me to make a video on that, please comment below, all my THETA warriors. And it is one of the contrarians, and it tends to pump hard when things aren't moving, and it's got a lot going for it. And it is 24x down from its all-time high. Actually, now it just had a massive pump, so it's around 21x. But when I did this chart, it was a 24x. And it is basically at the same price I was accumulating it before the last bull run. And that to me is a gift. At these levels, I'm buying more. And so, a lot of people are like, oh, THETA, it's not going to be resurrected. It said, look at this. It was just ranging down here in around 50 to 60 cents for a long time. June 2023, we've been at these lows for quite a while, and now it's starting to wake up again. It's now reaching its 200-day moving average. And once it breaks above there, that'll be a lot more bullish for THETA. But really great levels, great levels. And this is how I'm playing this market, you guys. I am now in hyper focus, hyper tuned in, writing all over my whiteboards. Get yourself a whiteboard, get yourself a plan and a strategy. I'm going to help you with that strategy for free here on this YouTube channel. Never financial advice, but just some sort of guide that you could potentially use when you're looking into and researching the coins that resonate with you the most and your goals of accumulation. So that being said, I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I'll see you tomorrow.